Hello, this is old Mr. Kent of MrKent.com. I'm sorry, excuse me. Anyway, I'm 82 years old, and I've been riding around on my trike telling my life story. And and if you're interested in starting at the beginning, you can go to at the end of this video, you can click on the link that says life story, and you can just start from the beginning. There's a lot of videos because I'm up to 1992 on this one. And as the title says, the day I was told to find a new job. Now, I'll explain so that if you haven't been watching, about 15 years before that time, I was licensed to run radio stations, TV stations, work on radio equipment and airplanes and stuff like that. So with the FCC, I'm sorry. Anyway, and so I got this job as the chief engineer at a Christian radio station, and it was, well, actually, it's the best job I ever had. I had so many experiences with that good morning. So many experiences that it was an enjoyable job. Well, so, but as the years went by, things happened that caused me to question a few things. Like, for instance, when I got my Cessna 150, the pastor said, if you work on my radios and stuff on my plane, I'll pay for your fuel. Well, that was pretty cool, because I liked working on his plane. So the first it lasted about a year, and I realized he wasn't paying for it. He was taking it out of the church funds. And so, because he gave me a credit card. So I gave him the credit card back, and that was all there was to say about that. And then another thing that was questionable is he bought a Harley-Davidson motorcycle and found out he couldn't ride it, a brand new one, and found out because his kidneys were bad. And so now he was stuck with a motorcycle that the doctor said he couldn't have. And so then he gave me a $200 a month raise in order to take over the payments. And so that was cool. I got a free Harley-Davidson motorcycle, and but $200 a month raise. Okay. So and then a couple other things happened. For instance, when I had a black friend who I brought to church one Sunday, and I noticed they were kind of cold to him. And then later in the week, one of the co-pastors pulled me aside and said, "We don't want black people at this church." And so just things like that. Let's see, I got to get this thing going right here. I'm not going to make it up this hill. Things like that. Well, as I worked with the radio station, I finally realized eventually that I was the chief engineer and actually the manager of the station. And I realized that I needed to keep track of all the money. I knew pretty much how much was coming in, but I needed to keep better track of it. And so I knew from month to month exactly how much money was coming in to the radio station. And because every once in a while the pastor would come in and say, we need you to make promotional announcements. That's begging for money from donors. Make promotional announcements that tell the people to donate or ask them to donate to the radio station. And that would happen every once in a while. Well, then one day he came in and he said, you need to run a promotional because we're not making enough money. We're not getting enough offerings and donations to pay your paycheck. Well, I knew that wasn't true, and so I told him, I said, no, I know for sure that that there's plenty of money coming in, and he didn't like that very well when I said that. So then he used words that I would never use, and told me I needed to find a new job. And so that was in 1992, and so that's what I did. Let's see, can I go down this street? I don't think so. I don't think I want to go down that street. Well, let's go down the street. Anyway, and so, oh, it's too breezy down that street. Let's go back this way. That messes up my audio sometimes. Okay, so I had to find a new job. Now, what I did was I found a job. I had to move about 40 miles north of Pasco, Washington is where I was working. And I had to move about 40 miles north to a town, near a town called Othello. And and I'm not going to tell you anything about my new job because I only worked there 3 years. But recently, this is 2024, I guess as of last year, they were taken to court, and I'm not sure if anybody was convicted, but they were closed down. So and I don't want to I don't want to say anything that would associate me with them, so I'm not going to tell you anything, but for 3 years I worked for that outfit. And but I had my plane at Basin City, was just a few miles away from Othello. Basin City has a little airstrip. It's an agriculture strip where they load up spray planes and then take them out and spray the crops and stuff like that, crop dusters. So anyway, that's where I kept my my plane. Well, so when I first, now let's back up in time. When I first got my plane in 1976, I think, no, 1986. Okay, I got my plane in 1986, and it had the plexiglass windshield had a crack right along right along on the right side, on the passenger side, starting across the windshield from about about 2 or 3 inches down from the top, where it came up to the wing. Well, that crack was there. It didn't really bother much, but as the years went by, it seemed to be growing further across the top of the windshield. And so eventually I decided, this is, well, actually what happened was it got all, well, and I would put duct tape over it to keep the rain out and stuff. And I thought, well, if it ever breaks, it'll come in on me. And I was prepared for that and everything. So I landed at this dirt strip out along the Snake River. They had dirt strips by every dam along the Snake River. And so we did all kinds of practice landings out there and playing around and stuff like that. So let's see, I think I'm going to go this way because they're doing something to the road up here. Anyway, so, and there's the wind again. I'll get over here on this side. Maybe that won't be so bad. Okay, so anyway, that didn't help. I got to get back to my story. So anyway, that crack, I landed at one of those dirt strips, and there was a whole lot of dust or rocks and everything. And when I landed there, that crack came all the way across. And so, but I don't know why I landed there. We were doing something. And then when I took off, I figured that the windshield would be blown back into me. Well, as it turned out, I think in my last video, I was talking about how the suction on top of the wing is what keeps the plane up. And you can check that video if you want, the last one I put up. But anyway, so there was so much suction on top of the wing that it pulled the windshield away from me. So there was this gap about an inch or two of broken windshield out that way, and so that had to be repaired. So where I was keeping my plane at Basin City, at the airstrip, the guy was super nice, and he had this nice big hangar, and I asked him if I could use it to put a new windshield in, which he said yes. And so I pulled it in there, and then of course I had to start taking all the screws and rivets out, and it took a while. It took probably a week to get everything out and get the other windshield in. And the other windshield was thicker, which was good. And of course, when you look through it, then sometimes things would be a little more distorted, but that's all right. So anyway, let's see. Let's go this way. So, as it turned out, then I was getting all finished, and the last day I worked on it, there was a guy who was a crop duster guy, and he had this big tank, oval-shaped tank that carried, probably the ingredients that they put in the plane. I don't know, but he wanted to spray paint it, but he was so nice he didn't want to spray paint it while my plane was sitting there because it was polished aluminum, and so he was waiting for me, and of course I was in a hurry, and to get the thing done for him, and so I got everything in, and it was all finished, and so I rolled it out of the hangar so he could go in, and I said to myself, I don't have to do a, usually you go around your plane, and you do a check, make sure everything works like it's supposed to. Well, I told myself, I've been working on this thing for the past week. I know that everything is okay. Well, the only thing is there was these foam things that you put into the front of the cowling to keep the birds from going in and making nests when it's sitting on the ground. And so you always had to take those foam things out before you took off. And so those foam things were in the cowling, in the front of the cowling, and I pushed it out and said, okay, I'm going to go try this out. So I start the engine up and taxi over to the end of the runway, and I take off and I start climbing, and let's go this way. I start climbing, and I got up to about 4,000 feet or so, and as I'm climbing, I'm looking out the window and I'm looking at all the stuff, and I'm flying north away from the airport, and it's looking good. The seal is good, everything is good, and then I look down at my instrument panel, and my oil temperature is in the red. And then I realized I had forgotten to take out those plugs, so there was no ventilation. There was no air getting into the engine. I did what I called my 5-second turnaround. That's when you lay it on its side and just go like that. So I did my 5-second turnaround, and I cut the engine, just turned the engine off, because I know I was high enough to glide to the airport. Now I'm coming in from the north, and you never landed from the north, because that meant you came down right in front of the hangar, and you always landed from the south because you had plenty of room. Plus there was an apple orchard at the north end of the runway, and so that apple orchard then had a lot of trees and everything. But I was coming in from that way because I didn't want to run my engine, because I'd ruin it. I was thinking, I just put a new windshield in, now I'm wrecking my engine. That's what was going through my mind. So I'm coming down and I'm gliding because I had plenty of time. And then as I came over Basin City, because the next thing is the orchard and the next thing is the runway, I was too high. And so I put it into a slip. And I've told you before in some of my videos, a slip is when you bank to the right and turn to the left, and it just slides out of the sky. It goes down like that. So I came down and started coming over that orchard. That's when I realized, yeah, sure, I was too high if I had a motor running. But I didn't have a motor running. And now I'm gliding, and looks like I'm going to come down in the orchard rather than in the runway. So I was real careful. I did everything I could. Every time that prop would go around, the plane would shudder. That means it's about to stall, okay, about to crash. And a prop would come around, and it was just blowing in the wind, you know. And so finally, I don't know how I missed the treetops, because they were right underneath of my wheels, I'm sure. Anyway, so finally I got to past the orchard, and I just hoping that nobody was coming out of the hangar or anything like that. So I came down and I landed, and I jumped out and looked at the front, and about half of the foam pieces had been sucked in over the top of them, you know, into the holes. So there was some ventilation going there. And then as time went by, I thought, well, you idiot, no wonder you were climbing. You had to climb up to 4,000 feet. That always heats up the engine. And of course, if you weren't getting very much ventilation, then it's gonna get, it's gonna get warmer. All I had to do was level out and leave the engine running and turn around and slowly glide back and land okay. But I was panicky, and I did the stupid thing. So I almost crashed my airplane into a orchard, apple orchard. But anyway, it made it. So that was that was following the day. That was quite a while following the day that I was told I needed to find a new job. So I guess that's enough stories for now. I got more stories about the Basin City Ag Strip, but we'll see if I can get some of those told. So for the next 3 years, I can't tell you where I worked, but I still did a lot of flying. And so anyway, with that, I'm going to say thank you for watching my videos, and God bless.